When will the MAGA give up on Trump? What I mean is, when will the ordinary Americans who have populated the Make America Great Again movement that has got Trump into the White House for the second time get fed up with him? Because I think they will, and I think it's going to happen soon. Because what he's doing is really not achieving for them. He is not making America great again. After all, giving in to Russia is hardly a sign of America being great again. Withdrawing from the world and saying the USA will not take part in the defense of Europe and many other places is not making America great again. Declaring trade war on other countries is actually not making America great again. It makes it look as though it's pretty small-minded and is trying to pursue an agenda of pettiness against other countries whose tax systems they don't understand. But that's not the real reason why the MAGA will, I think, give up on Trump. The MAGA supported Trump because he told them he would make them better off. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. Biden failed to deliver on that point. Biden did deliver economic growth for the USA. There are many ways in which you could say, if you use growth as the metric for success, that Biden was a good president. He did indeed grow the economy out from the COVID era in a way that the UK, for example, did not succeed in doing. But, and this but is an enormous but, the fact is that most Americans did not see the benefit of that growth. The growth did go, as most growth in the USA has for a long time, to the richest part of the community. The ordinary person, the person working for a wage, the person in the blue-collar sector, in the Rust Belt, in the Midwest farm, saw no increase in their well-being, and nor did many in the American middle class, which is becoming a much bigger issue than it was before, and is in fact the reason why America tipped from Biden to Trump, because the middle classes were willing to support him. So the question is, will Trump deliver for the MAGA, those people who voted for him? And my suggestion is that he won't, and the reasons why are quite straightforward. Musk is in charge of federal spending. At the moment, he appears to be unfettered in that role. And what we know is that he's trying to seriously cut the federal headcount, for example. But the federal headcount is heavily involved with the management of defense, which is something that the MAGA seriously believe in. And a significant number of people, something like 500,000 federal employees, are involved in veterans issues. And the veterans are most definitely MAGA supporters in the main. And so he's actually looking for cuts, issues that are at the very core of the MAGA political agenda, the things that they believe in. But he's going to do things that are worse than that. He has already announced the effective closure of the entire US aid program. But the US aid program, when it supplies food aid, very largely supplies US-grown food. In fact, at least $2 billion of US-grown food will no longer be bought by the US government as part of the US aid program. And the hit from that is going to fall on the Midwest states. The states where the MAGA are strongest will suffer the most from this change. And they're also going to suffer from other programs. There is a significant cut in state support for education. And yet that state support for education goes more heavily to poorer Republican states than it goes to anywhere else. There's something ironic about the fact that apparently the state budget of West Virginia is 20% supplied by the federal government. The rate of subsidy is extraordinary compared to the rest of the USA because it is so poor, and yet that is a strongly MAGA Republican state, and they're going to lose out badly, as are their schools. Will the MAGA be happy about that? I really don't think so. And nor will they be when it becomes obvious that the only way in which Musk can deliver real cuts to the federal budget, if he's going to leave defense alone by and large, is by cutting the Medicare budget in addition to the education budget. And there's little doubt that he's going to try to do that. He's already cut the funding for medical research, and that's an issue that's close to the hearts of many people. Cancer research is, for example, something that most people support. But the vast majority of cancer research in the USA has now been cancelled by Musk. And if he then moves on, and it looks like he will with some of the announcements that are already being made, to review the Medicare budgets which supply healthcare for 25% of all US children, many of whom will of course be the children of MAGA supporters, then he's going to tip the balance against Trump. All of these things will matter because what it means is that the fundamental promise that people thought that Trump had made to them is going to fail. And that's when political tipping points happen. Joe Biden could say, and did say repeatedly, that he had done the right thing by the USA. And as I've said, technically he did. But people didn't notice. Trump will claim he's made America great again by, he hopes, increasing the number of jobs, although nobody knows how that's going to come as a result of tariffs. He'll claim he's made America great again by bringing troops back home. What are they all going to do? Or is he going to get rid of them? And remember, many of the MAGA are firm believers in the number of troops that the US should have. And he's going to claim that he's made America great again by, in effect, creating a significant sales tax, which will be paid most heavily by the poorest in US society, whilst tax cuts will, of course, go very largely to the rich. None of those claims are going to stack in the eyes of ordinary people who can see through such nonsense and work out whether it has really hit their pockets or not. They will realize that Trump is hitting their pockets. They will realize that he's threatening their livelihoods. They will realize that the subsidies that have underpinned Midwest agriculture, for example, are disappearing. They might even not like the fact that all the support for green programs is being removed because those green programs are providing essential infrastructure spending in many areas that desperately need it. When it comes down to it, Trump is actually putting forward a program that the MAGA really won't like. It might be fast and furious, frantic and frenetic and everything else that begins with an F right now, and I can't think of any other appropriate words to add to that list. But the point is, once we actually get beyond this period where it's so hard to keep up with the news, the fun will end. The people will find out that Trump is not for real. Actually, his fiscal policy will be failing them. I did think of a few more Fs, and they're all appropriate in this case. The point is, Trump is going to fail, and the MAGA will not be able to avoid noticing. And when that happens, the Democrats should be ready, because if they had a sensible program at that point, and I have no idea whether they will or not, because frankly, they haven't proved themselves very capable of fighting elections for some time. But if they did have credible candidates and a credible program that would meet the needs of ordinary Americans, they could be back in both the Senate and Congress in 2026, and Trump's reign could come to an end. He's in deep trouble. He's failing the people who put him in the White House, and he can't afford to do that.